welcome back to day 32 of Survivor 50 Seasons in 50 Days. I just finished watching Survivor Kaoh Rong, the last season in watch chronological order that they don't film in Fiji. We'll kind of talk about that whole thing a little later. Michelle Fitzgerald just got to the end and won. The next time she comes back, she will also get to the end. And then there are other people at the finale, and we'll kind of talk about them as well. I have a full panel today for the first time since Worlds Apart. Starting from the bottom, we have Ben joining for the first time during the marathon. Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Erica making her return from Cook Islands, which was, 3 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago? And then we have Morgs, who, it's funny because when I asked Morgs to do this, we had the same season in mind, and it until I said, hey, do you want to do Kaoh Rong? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's the season I want to begin with. Perfect. Morgs, why do you love Kaoh Rong so much?
I feel like Kaoh Rong is just the perfect mixture of everything you want about a Survivor season. You have the living off the blindsides and the strategy. You have the iconic characters. There's just everything, and it has my favorite winner at the end of the day. So,
Erica, what is it about Kaoh Rong for you?
I love this season. I love the theme. I feel like they could do brains versus beauty versus brawn like every 4 or 5 seasons, and I'd be happy to see it come back every time. I think it's hilarious. This season, I've rewatched this season a bunch of times. It might be my most rewatched, aside from maybe Heroes versus Villains. I rewatched it earlier this year, preparing for season 50, and then restarted rewatching it again a week ago in preparation for this. And I was like, is this too much Kaoh Rong? And halfway through the first episode, I was like, no, it's never too much Kaoh Rong. I love this season. 2 of my favorite all-time characters ever in Ty and Debbie. I have since learned more about Debbie's personal life and what she's been up to outside of the show. And that was a little heartbreaking for me, but I'm going to pretend I don't know about that until the end of this episode. So that's about it for me.
And then, Ben, you were in between this and Second Chances, I want to say. What ultimately made you settle on Kaoh Rong?
I think the big thing that made me settle on Kaoh Rong was I love every week tuning in and just not knowing what to expect. And this season, post-merge, holy crap. Every week, you did not know what to expect, and it made you on the edge of your seat every single week. The cast of characters made it entertaining, I'd say, to say the least. Obviously, there were some, I would call them villains in this season. I think that's fair to say. We can name a few, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But wow. Also, being from Vermont, special shout out to Julia, repping the Green Mountain State.
And Julia being one of the youngest people to play on the game at this point, and I would say an underappreciated character on the season because she's not this dumb young blonde girl. Like, she becomes like a third antagonist sort of when the merge sort of as this merge progresses. And for anyone that has seen the Ponderosa videos, it kind of continues out there. But just kind of starting from the beginning, because I've talked a lot over the last week about how we're in the era where we're just like, hey, we're running out of ideas, we're scraping the bottom, we're going to get Millennials Gen X tomorrow, and then Game Changers the day after that. HHH goes, like, we're on the path to Island of the Idols. And so right now we're just kind of recycling. We've just recycled Blood versus Water, and now we're recycling the biggest season of the 20s outside of Heroes vs. Villains and Cagayan. Do you feel like, Morgan, we'll go back with you. Do you feel like this version, even though not as critically acclaimed as the first one, do you think it lived up to that BBB moniker?
I think it did because the people were so distinct in their monikers. Like, while there were some people that were like a little questionable on whether they fit a certain thing or not, there were people that were like very much beating the drum of brain, brawn, beauty. Like, you have your brains who are like kooky and weird and they're doing their thing, and then you have your bronze, like literally bodybuilders and NBA players, And then you have your beauties, which are like models and very, very pretty people. So
And
I
Ty.
think I can,
And
yeah.
Ty.
And
And
Ty
Ty.
is
And
also
so I
there,
don't
a
remember.
beautiful spirit.
I was just, when we did Kaguyan a few days ago. I don't remember who said it, but they made the comparison of Bryce and Ty, and I was like, huh, what? But no, like I would say, yeah, I thought I no, but and that's the look I did too. But I'm like, no, of these beauty tribes, I feel like they were the same as far as they just come off as overly positive individual. Like I want to out of both beauty tribes, I want to hang out with these people over almost anyone on either one of the beauty tribes, with the exception of this season. Maybe I'll throw Michelle in there, and like Anna's boobs, but like outside of that, not really. I'm good. So yeah, I would say that the cast, almost from top to bottom, like Darnell is not like a overly memorable first boot, but I feel like people know who Darnell is. You're not looking at him when he shows up on screens like, oh, I don't remember that guy. I guess the first time you watched this, Erica, who was standing out to you first few episodes, or even this premiere? Just like who stood out as someone's like, I think I'm gonna vibe with this person.
Ty is one of just one of the most memorable Survivor characters like of all time across all the seasons. So Ty was a big standout for me. Who else? Debbie is one of my all-time favorite characters. She's so funny early on in this season. Like her pre-merge behavior is so funny to me. Like I have so many Debbie quotes in my notes. It's unreal. She says, "Puzzles lay down for me like lovers," and they didn't even make that the episode title. Episode titles were a little weak this season, I felt. That was one of them. Yeah, those are the two big standouts for me early on.
Ben, what tribe do you think you would fit on, at least in this season? So not just based off what you see with this cast, which tribe do you see yourself on?
I think if I had to pick one, I probably would pick the Brain Tribe. I want to say Bronze, but seeing Scott Pollard, seeing Jason, seeing Sydney, I don't think I fit in with this tribe at all, man. So I think if I had to pick one, I think I have to pick the Brain. Although I will say, like, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but like, you know, the first up until the tribe swap, that Braun tribe, what a train wreck, man. And then, but I will say that one tribal where we got to see the Brains go to tribal council, like they were playing the game right off the bat, and that was great to see. So
It's Kage. So I like to kill my list for later when I give my official ranking for Kaoh Rong. Is I still have Kage on higher than it, but it's not that much higher, because I do feel like Kaoh Rong, like Morg says, kind of lives up to what the blueprint of what. Yes, we don't have a larger than life character like Tony, but we still get a new larger than life character like Ty. You know, we don't. He doesn't live up to this because not everyone. In fact, he's the only person to be that overly chaotic and win a game. Like no one else can do that. And instead, we have Ty, who's being chaotic in a very mild mannered Vietnamese refugee type way, and it fits that character. I wouldn't say archetype because there is nobody like Ty. So I do think that there are a lot of parallels, and I still have Kageyan higher than Kaoh Rong. I quickly want to point out. So Nick says that he is better looking than other people. Now, as a straight, I still disagree. Even on this cast, male wise, what do we have? 8? We have what, 9 men? 4 or 5? Am I wrong? Or is he the most attractive man on the cast? Anyone can answer that question.
On the cast, no. Like, trying to think.
So I'm a little biased being a Big Brother fan, but I've always loved Beast Mode Cowboy.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say too. Like,
Anyone can try. Okay. Okay, so Caleb is number 1. Also, before we went live, we talked about how Jason says that he's one of the he's one of the biggest bounty hunters in Southeast Michigan, and I didn't know that was like a thing. That there he has a niche that's just Southeast Michigan. But we're introduced to Jason. We're introduced to a lot of these individuals we have on the season, and I feel like one thing this season does have over the pre-merge of Cagayan is. I think it was Erica, but somebody said it like everyone has a distinct personality. Like this is not the beauty tribe on Cagayan. It's Bryce, it's Morgan and her boobs, and maybe sort of LJ. But then you have Purple Jeremy, you've got Jeffra, and you've got Alexis, who are just kind of there. And I feel like every tribe this season has something distinct about them. So early on in the season, what tribe were you like more excited to see? You know, I know Ben, we'll start with you because you said that the Bronze tribe was a dumpster fire. Were you excited to see them every episode until we get to that swap/merge?
You know, I think when the first episode aired, I was definitely excited. I mean, Sydney, holy shit! Like, I've never seen a woman built like her. But you had Jason, you had Scott Pollard, former NBA champ. Although growing up in New England, I don't know anybody who knows Scott Pollard. Sorry.
He played for my hometown. Light the beam, go Kings!
Yeah.
Shout out Scott Pollard.
I think though, you know, it's hard to say because we never saw the beauty tribe go to tribal council. I would have been curious to see what would have happened. You know. We saw what happened when the Brain Tribe went to tribal council, ended up in a 2-2-2 vote, and ended up sending Liz home. I would have loved to have seen Liz more this season because I don't feel like I felt like the strategy was there, but the Braun Tribe was just such a train wreck, and obviously we had Alicia clearly on the outs going into that vote before the tribe swap. Like, you know. That Braun tribe, like, I don't think we can speak about enough because it was just such a mess.
Yeah.
Erica, you say that you say that Debbie is one of your favorite characters. In my notes, I start off with Crazy Debbie, hate the archetype, but this is still the best version of Debbie because in Game Changer, she's playing not an archetype, she's playing a exaggerated version of this because she knows that's what the show wants. What is it about Debbie besides her opening line that has made her stand out to you throughout the test of time?
She's so funny to me. She's just so funny. Her quotes are so funny. I mean, I have so many Debbie quotes in my notes. And she's very sweet, especially in the pre-merge, but it really continues throughout the season. She has a lot of sweet moments with really everybody. She's very open in her little conversations. She's very supportive of people. Like, she's always congratulating the winner of the challenge, even the second place person of the challenge. Like, she seems genuinely delightful. You know, when Aubrey has her moment, her heat exhaustion, panic attack, Debbie's the one who's there for her. And Liz and who was it? I think Neil were very rude about it in their confessionals. Not everyone was nice about Aubrey's moment, but Debbie genuinely seemed to care for her. So I love Debbie. She's my favorite of this. I know some people love Coach, some people love the specialist. Debbie is the one that does it for me of this sort of cuckoo bananas person. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's... Go ahead, Ben.
Do we actually know what Debbie's real life profession is?
Apparently, a lot of the stuff that she said she did, she actually does. Now, I don't know all. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed if it's all of it, but most of it is true. And that's one of my favorite editing tricks of all time. So they're changing her occupation per confessional. In fact, the one after the Beast Milk Cowboy challenge, it's Debbie chemist, which leads me to believe that she probably was a chemist because that doesn't seem like a moment to add a joke in. So whatever the occupation there, I'm like, okay, she probably does this because she just almost died of heat stroke. Morgs, I brought up at the beginning of this, and I want to kind of get your opinion on it because when I did Worlds Apart and when I did Cambodia, for anyone that doesn't know, they filmed this before Cambodia and just aired out of order. And so when I had Phil on last night, we were talking about how there was a challenge where if enough people sat out, that Prod would basically just redo the entire shelter because they were all out there dying. And Phil brought up a good point of, yeah, they probably saw what happened in Kaoh Rong and realized, hey, we don't need this shit to happen again. So we're just gonna make sure that they're all fine out here. This is their last season on screen that we are not in Fiji, and I think this is a very I said this during the first 10 days of this, were like old school Survivors, them trying to kill their players. And this is a bon voyage to like old school Survivor on this season of, okay, yeah, we're going to try to kill our players one last time before we give them Fiji for the rest of history. Where of the three medevacs, or just any of the craziness that happened this season, do you ever feel uncomfortable with it as a viewer?
I think it speaks for everybody that like the Caleb evacuation was very serious. Like all of a sudden this is life or death. Like, and they've spoken about this after. This is like he could have died, which is crazy that is something that could happen in Survivor. You don't really think it can because it's a TV show, right? So you're thinking, oh, everything's perfectly fine. And now with how they handle things, and they're always on location, they have their own little mini hospital situation going on. Like, you can tell they knew they had to take some precautions moving forward. Like, this was way too close of a call.
Yeah, we're not sitting here doing this if Caleb's temperature, because I think it was at 106, 107 by the time they start cooling him down. If that goes up to even 110, we're not doing this anymore. Like, I'm not doing this. I don't know any of you, probably. Actually, no, I still probably know Ben because of, but I don't know you. I don't know y'all. And it's just crazy kind of looking back on it. I don't know why it reminds me of this, but yesterday watching Cambodia during the Tuk Tuk reward challenge, and someone goes, I just imagine Keith Neal being here in 10 years, still riding on a tuk tuk and retired. I'm like, oh, I couldn't handle it. Quickly, someone, we'll go. Who's seen the Karate Kid? No one.
Like the Jaden Smith version.
Me either, but I do know the character of Mr. Miyagi. Do you know what Mr. Miyagi looks like? Mr. Miyagi does not wear glasses. At any point during any of the Karate Kid movies does Mr. Miyagi wear glasses. So Caleb describing Ty as he's wearing his little Mr. Miyagi glasses kind of stood out to me. In the premiere, Aubrey and Jenny, I won't say they almost die because we have Caleb a little later, but Aubrey has her moment that seems like and Jenny, I feel, was way worse because of how, even though it's not big by comparison, it's fucking disgusting. And her calls out and her screams are so uncomfortable to watch. And I think it's a 90-minute episode. Ben, same question to you. Of all of the injuries, medevacs, what have you, what was the most uncomfortable for you to watch?
I think the most uncomfortable was right after the merge when Jeff pulls everybody together. He comes to the boat right at the end of the episode, and he starts looking at everybody's injuries. Like, I know Neil, we got a little glimpse of what happened, like what we saw like at the immunity challenge, but wow, that was disgusting. Like, those infections were serious, and I was really glad the doc was there and to get some insight. Basically, the doc said, like, if this gets any worse, like, that's going to go into your knee, and your knee's going to be shot. Like, I think that was probably the most. And also, like, we talk about how brutal this season was. Like, Neil wasn't the only one. I mean, Ty had scabs all up his leg from climbing the mango tree. That looked pretty gross as well. I believe it was Debbie, too, had one that was also disgusting. And Aubrey got put on antibiotics, and the doctor basically said, hey, we're going to either have to lacerate you or we're going to have to put you on antibiotics. So take your pick.
What I found out later during my research today is Jason, after he got voted out of the game, he had to go to the hospital because he lied about he basically, when Dr. Joe showed up, he hid the fact that his foot was also infected.
Yeah.
And lied about it until he got voted out. So he had to do they had to do an emergency thing when he got voted out. This season is just like, yes, I would love for them to go back on location to anywhere else, but I also understand from an optics perspective why they were just like, hey, maybe we should just find a safe place and just let them play without worrying about them dying, with the exception of being bitten by a snake. But what happens? I just bring up Crazy Anna's boobs. That's really the only thing I have there is Crazy Anna's boobs. I hate advantages. I hate idols. And for the last few days, we've been kind of talking about how we have slowly been getting to this point where the show is going to become all about advantages and idols. You know, even if you want to go back to 30 with the extra vote, 31 with the steal a vote, this season with the extra vote, and we bring back the super idol for it to fail once again, but this time they do it a little differently. Morgs, just thoughts on, are you an advantage person? And what were your thoughts on them bringing back the super idol again? You know, it's never worked in the first 2 seasons. It doesn't work in Kagiyan. Them bring it back a 4th time. It's like, okay, thoughts?
I think this is the best version of the super idol we get, in the sense that, like, it involves collaboration and social strategy to make it happen. And we also get the epic not using of the super idol, which is just, that episode is just the cherry on top of everything for me. But I'm not an advantage person. I am very much a keep it as basic as possible, because I love to watch people just interact and socially strategize with each other. I think that's the best version of Survivor. Like, when you're putting so much into it, it just alters the game and makes it so like luck based, in a sense that, if I didn't have this particular thing, then I had no shot in the game, which is always disheartening to me as a fan.
Erica, you're the Ty person. Ty does sort of pull a Jean Robert-esque moment here, where he tries to sneak a kiss on Caleb, which it's played for laughs because cute little Mr. Miyagi, according to Caleb. Ty has 2 really big bromances this season with Caleb and with Scott. I love his relationship with, I love his relationship with Caleb too. Do you, I guess in a what if situation, which I know I always say I hate doing what ifs, but I always end up doing them anyway. Do you feel like you can hop on board a long-term Ty Scott or Ty Caleb relationship in the game?
Who, me personally, or
You personally.
Ty
person.
What?
As a Ty person.
As a Ty person. Okay, I mean, I do like his bromances. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that is one of the bright spots of the show for me. His relationship with Caleb is adorable. His relationship with Scott is just a little less, it's a little more evil, a little more dark-sided. But that's the fun thing about Ty, is he's just kind of so influenced by the people he's around. So yeah, whoever Ty wants to ride with, it's fun because he just kind of absorbs their personality a little bit, and it's fun. Ty's fun.
It's laughable when he puts out the fire the second time. It's like, what are you doing, bro? Like, this is funny now. Like, I hate Scott when he does it, but it's like, Ty, that is so adorable that you think these people are gonna hate you for putting the fire.
He's so chaotic.
Another thing that I don't like about the new, so for me, the new era starts at 21 and it goes until 50. One of the other things about the new era that I just do not like is this pressure by production, and both the words that Jeff says and with the advantages introduced in the game of making big moves. And I think the first time we see that this season, it fails horribly because Jenny decides, I think it's time to make a move. It's like, well, that's crazy. It's the second round. Morgs, coming from someone that plays a lot of online games, I know it's not the same thing, online games and watching the show, as far as what you want as both a viewer and as a player. Big moves for you as an audience member, do you need them to be invested? And what did you think of Jenny's flip-flop during this round?
As an audience member, I don't need them, but you crave them. Like I don't care if you're messing up your game. Like it's good TV at the end of the day. Like Jenny is so fun to me because I think she went through like I would be traumatized. I would be fully traumatized if there was a bug living in my ear and trying to eat its way into my head. Like I'm bug phobic. Like I wouldn't be able to recover from that. If I was on the island and that happened to me, I would be like completely shot. So her going from a completely solid 3-person alliance, I'm good. Nobody's taking any shots at me. I'm completely fine to, you know what? Let me just try and randomly flip this for no reason. And it completely blowing up in her face. It's just good TV. It's the best TV.
We lose Jenny, and then Scott and Jason start their bromance starts episode 1, but their hatred of Blondie, and Ben, we're gonna get you on this one. Their hatred of Blondie is Alicia. Let's call her Alicia. That's her name.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm getting angry already. I feel myself like getting heated. Like I'm trying to act cool right now, but I'm not. I'm not cool right now, guys. Like I hate this. Is my least favorite part of this season.
We see each other.
It's frustrating. Ben. It's frustrating because, at least from what we're seeing in the edit, it doesn't seem like she's doing anything other than continuing to double down on a lot of stuff. But she even says during the trial when she gets voted out, or at least I think Sydney says it, like she's not afraid to stand up for herself, even when she's got these 2 big-ass men kind of yelling at her. And I do appreciate the fact that she would do that. She's a what's the phrase? Oh, she's a mental giant. I think also.
This was also rude by production. I feel like they were making fun of her. Are they punching down a little bit?
Ben, at one point during the idol search, I guess in my head, Jason tackles her, but he actually doesn't. Like he doesn't make any type of physical contact with her. But I think in my head, it's just because of who these two are. It kind of seems like it. What did you think of their weird one-sided rivalry with Alicia?
I honestly had no idea where it was coming from. At this point in the game, Jenny's out, Darnell's out. They had a 3 solid person alliance with Sydney, Scott, and Jason. There was no reason to go after her the way they did. And to me, this idol where she knocks the key down and then Jason goes and runs and grabs it, like it was just uncalled for. I never understood it. Like, it's one thing to call her Blondie, but then to basically go out of her way to make sure she doesn't get the idol, I guess I just didn't see the point in it. You had a 3-person alliance. She was going home anyway. Like, what's the point?
And this is when I go off about the modern day fandom and how much they love villains and they want villains back. It's like, okay, you guys hate Worlds Apart, and that's nothing but villains. You don't like Scott and Jason, and they are villains. You don't like whoever else you want to talk about. I just don't buy the fact that the fandom really wants villains back. I think the only reason they're in such an uproar is because they don't like when Jeff says he doesn't want villains, because they have to hate everything Jeff says, which is why they all hate Rick Devens, because Jeff likes Rick Devens. Morgs, okay, Erica, go ahead.
I have to argue that I don't even think that Scott and Jason are villains. I think they're phony heroes because they play the loyalty card. They don't actually do a lot of villainous gameplay. They're just rude. Like, their gameplay is not particularly devious or diabolical. They're not like Russell Hantz type schemers. They're just like, they cause chaos and around camp, like dumping the water out and like hiding stuff. But
and
their gameplay is more like loyalty based, and like they're not even fun villains. Like this is just not the flavor the fandom craves. And I don't even think it's about their hero versus villain status. It's about their yuckiness as a duo.
And to add on to that, it was like the whole point of hiding the machete and the axe was because they didn't get their way at tribal council. Like, okay, that's Survivor. Like, what else do you want? Like, that's how you play the game.
Exactly.
Is it? Because the only other time we've seen that happen Well, in that situation, it wasn't even because Russell's pissed at the tribal. He just did it because he's a dickhead. But like, I find like everything that they do this, even though yes, they think they're heroes in their own head. I feel like everything they're doing is just coming off as so overly just pissy, and especially on Scott's end, where he's coming from professional athletics. He should know how to be able to lose. He should know, how to work with a team. And Alicia tries to bring that up to him, and he's like, "Oh well, you've never played in that. You've never played on a team before. Oh, you played soccer when you were younger." Okay. I feel like they're textbook examples of Survivor TV villains. I feel like this is what I expect out of Survivor villains, because that's what I've been shown with the Russells, the Worlds Apart cast, in general. Just like a lot of these characters where I'm sure Scott Pollard is probably really nice in real life, and it seems like he is based off of what a lot of people said about him. But in the show, it's just like and we're going to talk a lot about Michelle later when she becomes like a character on screen. But the fact that she's able to basically combine what Alicia does, because when they pour the fire out, Michelle gets very snippy with them, and you appreciate, but she also still befriends them because she understands, okay, I can only do so much, but I also need these people's vote at the end. I don't know. As someone who doesn't like villains and I don't need them to return, I always look at these two as like prime examples of, if you want villains back, this is what you get. And we're going to talk about something they do a lot later in the game during Final Tribal that really kind of nails that point home because of the outcome. Morgs, I want to get to you on the Nerds tribe, the Brains tribe. Because it's the first example this season of people getting too big for their britches. Peter and Liz think they're running the entire show. It's very similar to Nick on his tribe, and it's very similar to Scott and Jason on theirs. Peter and Liz are too big for their britches, and they are so overly confident, even at the tribal, that Liz gets blindsided. And this is very Garrett-esque from Cagayan. If you want to compare the tribes to each other, Garrett getting voted out with an idol is still way worse. But we're starting off with a bang with this first. Why do I keep trying to say Nerds tribe? Brains tribe tribal. I know we've kind of alluded to it already, but of the pre-merge tribals, where does this one kind of go for you?
I think this one is definitely like, it stands out because there are so many dynamics at play, and a 2-2-2 in a first tribal, like, you don't get that a lot. You definitely do not get that. And to have so many elements playing into the fact of how it's playing out, you have to start with Liz and Peter, specifically Liz being super analytical about everything that's going on at camp. She wants everything done to a book T. She's dotting her I's and she's crossing her T's, and she wants it to be extremely safe. And then you have Debbie and Joe. Debbie, who can see pathogens in the water if they're there or not, and the naked eye. So she's just a fish out of water in this camp. And I think there's a level of like social dynamic that is missing for both of them. They're both very unaware of how they're coming across to people and how people are viewing them. And for all of it to culminate in Debbie running the tribe and getting a 2-2 split and getting her intended target out, like chef's kiss. It's like my favorite Debbie episode of any episode she's ever in. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite Debbie episode, as like the one with Brad Culpepper and Game Changers is funny because like this person is really crazy. It's clearly, but like as far as Debbie the game player, it's either this or her boot episode that we're gonna get a little later. We're gonna get to episode 4, and we're gonna do around the horn for this one because I want everyone's thoughts on episode 4. The least important part of the episode is the Bronze lose. They basically tell everyone, "Oh yeah, Alicia's going home," and they vote Alicia out. We'll kind of get to stuff that happens with them during the reward challenge. But We get to the reward challenge, and it's for spices and coffee.
Like,
it's for spices and coffee, and it's in 100 and whatever degree heat. Production's not stupid. They've seen how much has been going on with these players. 9 days in, however many days in we're up to at this point. They see how bad it is. We get 45 minutes into the challenge, and no one is done. Once again, they have eyes. They can see these people are on their last legs. Erica, we'll start with you because you texted me about it when you watched this time around, and I felt the same way watching it today. Has your mood ever changed about this 20-minute segment of the episode? Like, what emotions does it evoke? What are the things that always stand out to you?
It's always been a hard watch. It's always shocking, but it actually gets harder every time I watch it because you just notice more and more of the like foreshadowing and the signs that things are going. Even, I mean, you notice things throughout the first, 3 episodes of people being freaking hot and dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout this episode, the challenge, you really notice like Jeff is beat red, like just narrating. Everybody is, you notice all the little details leading up to what happens. And it never gets easier. It gets harder to watch. I cried this time. I think this was the first time I cried watching it. Yeah, it's just a lot to watch someone almost die.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Survivor being a tough game, to me, this episode is the epitome of this stuff. This is legit. And it's not just Beast Mode Cowboy. Obviously, that was a very shocking way to go out. I don't think I have any words for it, but also like Sydney. We keep coming back to Sydney. Sydney's this professional bodybuilder. Like the fact that she went down as well and Debbie goes down as well, like that just goes to show like how brutal the conditions were out in Kaoh Rong. And I think it says a lot that starting with season 33, they moved to Fiji full time because the conditions were so bad out here.
Yeah. And then, of course, in 33 and 37, they get poured on so much that they have to evacuate. So,
yeah,
but it's still better than them trying to kill their players. Morgs, I know that you've kind of mentioned you don't feel the same way. But, having said that, like all joking aside, like, does this scene resonate with you, even if you don't get the emotional side that maybe me and Erica do?
right. Like, I still obviously empathize. Like, it's very like tragic to see all of this going down. Like, I remember watching it the first time being like, oh my God, it's like, what's happening? Like, everybody's going down. Everybody's like fully incapacitated. People are still digging in the sand while Debbie's down on the ground. Like, everyone looks exhausted. And I remember watching it the first time, and we had already heard like, oh, somebody's going home. Obviously, we saw the preview. But Caleb looks fine. Caleb is still powerhousing it through the end of the challenge. He's taking the balls and going a second round, going and getting it. And they win, and I'm like, okay, like it's over. And then he drops. And you're like, oh, like things are happening. Jeff's calling everybody over, running over. Like everybody who is somebody needs to be working right now. And you just realize how serious it is all of a sudden. It's not lost on me that like we're competing for spices and coffee. Like, could they not have called it at some point? Like, just been like, you know what? Just for the spices and coffee, like maybe we'll just call it a day. I think you guys can survive without it. You don't need to literally almost die for this, but it's whatever. I think a lot of people looking back on it think like, oh, it was an immunity challenge or something. No, it's for like one of the most nothing rewards ever. But
in fact, we don't get the opening credits until after Debbie goes down. Like the episode starts with Peter being upset with the vote. We get to the challenge, blah blah blah. Debbie goes down, and it's like, oh, cut the credits, and then we come back, and it's like, well, now Sydney's down. Caleb's going to finish the challenge because adrenaline is a hell of a drug, and as soon as that adrenaline is out, and he's out. You see Jeff in real time realize what's happening over here. Hey, if you're not an essential person, please help this fucking person out. I want to keep my job. Like I said earlier, if Caleb died, and that's what I always keep in the back of my mind is because we get second chances shows that Caleb doesn't die on this season, because if he does, Kaoh Rong doesn't air, second chances never happens, and we just end with Worlds Apart, which is insane. We just kind of Survivor just kind of ends with Worlds Apart. Episode 4 for me, I thought I was going to be different today. I was like, okay, this is my whatever time watching the season. I'm not going to get emotional. It's fine. Dude, as soon as Debbie goes down, I'm just like, nope, it's coming. It's coming. Sydney crying is the one that always breaks me.
Yeah.
And like Ben said, because she's this, this larger than life, like physical being. And then Ty crying at Caleb. It's like, oh, he's losing his boo. He's going to have to go find a new one. The only game related thing that we really see in this challenge is Alicia's trying to get everyone on the same page with this, and Scott, which in the moment, and I think when he gets back to camp, he's lying about it, but he's like, yeah, keep being a cheerleader. That's what you're good at. And then at camp, Alicia confronts him like she, the mental giant she is, and that's not me mocking her. She confronts him, and he's like, yeah, I did also feel like it was possibly going to help us. Like, that's bullshit, but
no,
whatever. And just continues the storyline of just, Scott and Jason. I've always preferred Jason because of other little moments that we kind of get with him. With Scott, like from beginning to end, it's like, you're the professional athlete. You're the first professional athlete on this show that I don't like in general. And I don't like Jeff Kent in real life. I enjoy Jeff Kent on Philippines. I had no opinion of Scott Pollard before this, and afterwards it's just like, well, you suck, dude. But this is one of those moments. We get to the swap. Jeff basically says, hey, yeah, because of Caleb leaving, one of y'all are screwed and have to go to Exile Island for a few days. And it ends up being Julia, our youngest person on the cast, a very underappreciated, underrated, whatever word you want to use, player. But because of the pre-merge, we don't really see much of her. I'm just going to kind of speed run through the swap because I feel like it's just 2 episodes of whatever isness. We lose Anna and her boobs, and we lose Peter, and everyone is dead when we hit the merge, which leads us into our next evacuation. Erica, at some point, if for you as a viewer, because this season was teased as the hardest season ever, and even if it had ended with Caleb being evacuated, Aubrey having her thing at the beginning, Jenny having the bug in her ear, I feel like just up to that point, it's like, okay, yeah, this is insane. Were you expecting anything else to happen back half as far as injuries or evacuations or anything like that?
I honestly don't know what I was expecting when I don't remember the first time I watched it. It's all a blur now, and I've rewatched so many times. But like, honestly, no, because I must have been shocked because I'm shocked every time. I was shocked this time, and I just rewatched it earlier this year. So many things happen, and like the number of wounds these people have. I guess I block it from my memory every time because it's really disgusting. There's a lot. Yeah.
The swap is when the cross-up vote happens. Aubrey votes for Julia and then doesn't vote for Julia, which is kind of comes back a little later when they finally vote out Julia. The swap, I can tell you all this. The swap is the 2 hours today where I kind of sat on my laptop and had it playing in the background. It's like, I don't care, but either
justice for Anna.
I'm sure you actually believe that.
Not anymore post-season. Like, let me put that out there.
Hey, she's a professional poker player. We lose Anna, and we lose the I won't say the villain of the the biggest villain of the pre-merge is probably still Scott and Jason, but I do feel like Peter of his tribe was the biggest villain there, and the fact that he does make it to that last boot before the merge is a testament to something. But yes, we do hit the merge, and we quickly realize that the Blues, now I'm sort of trying to call them the Blues, the Brains Tribe. The Brains Tribe are going to be on the bottom. Let's just get rid of these 4 people at that point. Ben, for you, as we hit merge before the evacuation of Neil, who are some of the players that you're kind of hoping either stay around for a while, or like who are you ultimately rooting for to win the game?
I think at this point, I always talk about like this season for me, when I went back and rewatched it earlier this week, this always seemed like, when I always talk about timing, right? And for me, like, timing was everything for Aubrey in this season. And I think that's why I got behind her this season, because there's a good chance that if Neil doesn't get evacuated, Aubrey might be going home that night. And we talk about opportunities like, Scott was pissed at her for changing up the vote. And he was pissed at Joe too. And we all kind of saw Joe as like this whole, oh, well, Joe's just doing whatever Aubrey says. Aubrey's just going to bring him along. But like, to me, there's a good chance Aubrey does not go home if Neil does not get evacuated. And also, I was really excited to see Neil go far, because I thought that those 3 could have made a good threesome. They just need to bring people in. But like, it's a shame. It's really a shame. And like I said, I think we've mentioned it's a testament to how difficult this season really was.
Yeah, I was a Neil person until the last 40 minutes of the finale, and we'll get there. Morgs, how about you? How about you? Just some of your, I won't say power players, but just people that you were actively rooting for going into the merge.
Going into the season in general, I was rooting for Michelle, because I always watched the cast interviews, and that was my winner pick. And I was like, "Where is Michelle? Like, we need some Michelle on the screen. Like she's still here, so like maybe she can take it." Like I've been losing hope, but it's whatever. And then I think Sydney was like my number one. I was like, okay, Sydney has very clearly been somebody who is socially aware, strategically aware, and I think she can take it. Like that's who I was rooting for. Michelle, Sydney.
Erica?
Well, I felt like Debbie had been playing a really good game up to this point. She had a nice core 4 in the Brains Tribe going. It wouldn't always pan out that way forever, but she was in a good spot going into the merge. Ty also had options going into the merge, because he had, Scott really wanting to bring him in, and he was in good with the beauty people still. So my 2 favorites were set up in really good positions at this point in the game. I was excited, man. I was stoked. Everything's coming up roses for Erica and her favorites right now.
We lose Neil in his ice cream cone pants, but he is the first person on the jury, and like what was just pointed out, this is one of those JT and Tocantins moments of, if Joe doesn't go home that round, JT doesn't go home, but he's catching votes and no longer the first perfect winner, because he's catching votes of the round that Joe goes home, but that doesn't ultimately happen. Here, we lose Aubrey at the merge, potentially, and do we get Aubrey 2, 3, and 4.0? Who's to say? But I'll leave that for another time. The final 10 episode for me today is the one that resonated with me the most, because I had just finished stop paying attention. And this kind of goes back to what I talked about with my panel for Worlds Apart and talking to Phil yesterday for Cambodia. Because of the reception of Worlds Apart, this is when Survivor really stopped showing fights. They stopped showing outright villains. They stopped showing a lot of this stuff because of what happened with Worlds Apart, but they kind of kept it a little Kaoh Rong. And I think the biggest difference with Kaoh Rong is, in episode 10, within the first 15 minutes, we hear all about, once again, we hear all about Jason's daughter being autistic. Like, it's reiterated, and like he's portrayed as not really what he's been portrayed as the rest of the season. And we learn about Scott Pollard's entire backstory. Dad was gone, grew up left the Mormon church, grew up poor, all of that. Like, we're getting these very touching moments for the two people that for the rest of the season are going to be portrayed as the bad guys. And I think this, for me, this is probably an editing thing of, hey, we don't want a Worlds Apart thing happening where everyone just outright hates Will, outright hates Dan Foley, outright hates Rodney. We want to give them some type of backstory to be like, oh, but like his daughter's autistic. Scott Pollard grew up poor. You should kind of empathize with them. But ultimately, they flip the game on specifically Sydney, flips the game on Nick because Nick gets too big for his britches and becomes so overly arrogant throughout a lot of this episode. Morgs, we'll go back to you as far as just everything dealing with episode 10, just the immunity challenge, what I just mentioned about Scott and Jason, what ultimately happens, we'll save for the end of this section. What are your thoughts on episode 10?
I think this episode really, like, it ties the bow on the season, like, thematically. We see it so many times throughout the season where your arrogance is going to cause your downfall. It's going to be the blind spot. And there are so many instances in this episode of multiple people being incredibly arrogant and just like haphazardly throwing things, or like, go to the immunity challenge. You have Nick stepping off immediately once all of the brains are gone. And you are going home tonight. Like, you don't even know. Like, and then you go back to camp and they're telling, like, Nick is going to go check up on Julia to make sure that nothing was talked about between Julia and Sydney. And it's like, Sydney clocks them in the moment and they're like, oh no, it's fine. Like, plan's the same. They're still completely confident going into this boat. How are you not aware of anything that is happening around you? It's really insane. And just to see Nick's face at Tribal, just the smirk go dead.
It's Edgardo.
It's perfect.
It's Edgardo. It's the Edgardo blindside all over again. Just he says it's so overly smug that I get excited seeing it happen. Ben, for you, were you shocked based off of what you have seen so far, 10 episodes in? Were you shocked to see Sydney kind of jump ship as fast as she does?
Yes and no. I think yes, because I think we were all under the assumption leading up to this point that she was a solid 3 with Jason and Scott. But to see her flip, honestly, like, to me, I've always said this, and I thought this looking back, like, if Sydney beats Aubrey in that final immunity challenge, I think there's a good chance that she is the sole survivor this season. And I think that this was a good turning point for her in the game to say, you know what? I can't go to the finals with these guys because they're too arrogant. I'm going to go ahead and flip. And she basically, like, controlled most of the game, in my opinion, up until she got voted out in Final Four.
Erica, thought on Sydney's games as a whole. Games. She's only played once, sadly. But thoughts? Oh, apparently she's playing the challenge. Is she playing? Is that?
Oh,
am
nice.
I making that up?
You're making that up.
I'm making that up. What game is she?
She was on. I think she was on like Beast Games or
Oh,
something.
okay. So she played Beast Games. I knew she did like
Michelle's
another.
on the challenge.
I know Michelle's on. Yeah, I know Michelle.
Michelle was on the challenge. Yeah.
Erica, yeah. Thoughts on Sydney's game this season?
Sydney's a great player. Yeah, she's really, I think out of every player on the cast, Sydney is the one that really could have been on any of the 3 tribes. She's got brains, beauty, and brawn. She really is the full package. Like, what a jackpot for casting. And Jeff even says at the reunion that he hopes she plays again, and yet we haven't seen her. So what the fuck? I also agree with what Ben said. I think she wins if she makes it to the end pretty solidly. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say with the, I'm not a fortune teller, but she's a good shot to win at least. She gets votes, I think. Not a 0 vote finalist.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later too, because that is one of the more interesting what ifs with this season. So Erica, we're going to stay with you with this because Nick does get blindsided. Ty randomly votes for Jason. And the scene is so funny because Scott's like, who'd you vote for it? And Ty's like, I voted for Debbie.
It's so bizarre. It's some of the most bizarre. What else did he do at that tribal council that was bizarre? Did he mention the super idol?
I
like-
think it was this one. Yeah.
Yes. So what did he do? He just flustered himself and then forgot what was he doing? There's also like no explanation really. Was there an explanation? I just missed it.
No, this is the era of the show where they just go
love it. I love that when he randomly brings up the super idol comment and everyone is like, what? And then he's like, oh, actually, Jeff, maybe people are just telling me that and I'm just being lied to about that randomly. Maybe. What? Like, no, like that doesn't work.
It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. I love it. It's very memorable to me. It's also somewhat relatable to me. Like I like these imperfect players who kind of get in their own way once in a while and they become their own obstacle that they have to figure out, like completely unnecessary, totally optional to do this to yourself. And it's great TV.
Yeah. Well, so my question with that is, so yeah, we the men are blindsided. Sydney votes for Nick though. She doesn't vote for Scott or Jason. Neither does anyone else. I don't think. Yeah, I'm fairly certain everyone just votes for Nick here. But this is where Scott and Jason's villain arc hits peak villainy. Because they're so overly angry at Sydney that not only do they not want to talk to her the rest of the game, but Ponderosa videos, they ignore her the entire time there because they just can't believe that she flipped on them for a vote, which is something that the majority alliance for the rest of the merge do every single round, where they just vote against each other but still stay together somehow. Scott and Jason go into Russell Hantz mode. I was telling Morris before we went live, in in Jason's pregame interview, he said he wants to play more like Russell Hantz, except for more chaotic. I know you already kind of touched on it earlier, but what did you think of their tactics specifically here? This is psychological warfare, I think is the name of the episode. What do you think of their tactics here, and do you think that it ultimately paid off for them? Because we do lose Debbie.
Is this for me? Are we on?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't love these tactics. I feel like this is dirty gameplay. I don't like it. It's villainous behavior, but in the cheapest way, where I don't feel like it's particularly strategic. I mean, you can call it psychological warfare, but that's just trying to dress up your impulsive angry behavior in some kind of strategy. I don't think it's good strategy. They should have channeled their anger into brainstorming better plans, maybe, instead of destroying the fire and hiding the machete. And to get more angry about it when people become resilient and find another way to cook coconuts and open the coconuts, they get more angry about it. Like, it just makes them look so petty. Like,
I mean, we can call it what it is, right? It's like deeply misogynistic, like to fully just assume that the women will just lay down and die. They're not going to be able to survive without the help of the big, strong men on the season. And the fact that they immediately find every other way to survive without any of the tools that they've hidden or even the fire that they've put out. We can make our own fire. Like, everyone is very capable. We're all on Survivor. Like, you're not the breadwinner here. Like, it's the completely wrong approach. It has nothing to do with the game. It's just asinine.
Ben, if you are playing in a game like this and you get blindsided, what have you, and I know it's hard because you haven't done it proper, what do you think, just know what you know about yourself, how do you think you would react in a situation like that?
You know, it's one of those things that I think you have to look big picture, right? We're playing a game here. Obviously, it's for $1 million, but to me, you go back, you start doing the calculations. They still had Ty. They still had Julie on their side from what it looks like from a far distance. Like, that's where you look at the math. You go, hey, we got 4. We still got 9 players left. Like, let's try to bring somebody in and let's turn the tables at the next tribal council. Instead, they chose we're going to hide the machete. We're going to put out the fire. Like, what are you doing, dude? And not to mention, at this point in the game, Jason and Ty still have idols. Like, you could have easily turned the tables here.
I feel like I would, like, just knowing myself and Morgs and, I guess the one game I played with Erica, I got voted out before she could see me react how I can sometimes react. Morgs can attest to this. Like, when things in games start for me going whatever, I tend to, I won't say pissy, but I do have moments where I can get very standoffish, very passive aggressive, but I don't think I could ever get to that point because I still understand they'll probably accept me being upset tonight. It's tomorrow morning where if I'm still acting like this, then it's like, okay, what the hell is this dude's problem? It happens. It's part of the game. Morgs, I don't know why, but this made me think of you today. And even though I've never like seen you do this in the game, it just made me think of you. So when Julie wins immunity, and they're talking about what they want to do with the vote. Well, Debbie's talking about what she wants to do with the vote. And watching Sydney stare down Julie during that scene literally made me spit out my water today because it's like, yeah, Prod knew what they were doing. Like this one, Sydney's just staring down Julie like, because she knows we can't trust this woman. Michelle has given a confessional about how she's playing both sides. I think Aubrey had done it at this point. This is my funniest moment of the season, and it's so brief. For you, what is a scene you can watch back in Kaoh Rong you can laugh at every time?
I think if I had to pick one scene that is going to make me, like, I guess, laugh hysterically, I think of Final Tribal Council when Mark the Chicken is there. Like that's my favorite. Like I'm laughing the whole time because it's so awkward, and I like that awkward like secondhand embarrassment thing always works for me. And the fact that Ty is like very much struggling and like obviously is super nervous and has been like battered down by everybody, and Mark the Chicken is just going crazy the entire time. That's the funniest thing to me about the season.
Erica, do you have a moment?
Yeah, I have a moment that I recorded on my phone so I can go back and rewatch it over and over. And it's a Debbie confessional. We've already moved past the moment. It was a few episodes ago during the I think the Liz blindside. It's a confessional where she goes, "We need to be subversive. We need to implant counterintelligence. We need to move with a purpose, Joe, and we need to do it now." I fucking love that shit. I watch it all the time. I keep watching it. It's so fucking funny to me. She is so funny.
Ben?
Without a doubt, when we talk about poetic justice this season, and I can't stop thinking about Scott Pollard getting voted out, and he immediately looks at Ty, and all of a sudden we see this pause, and Jason is also smirking, convinced that Ty's going to hand over the idol, and all of a sudden you see Jason's face just being like, "Ty, are you going to give him the idol?" And all of a sudden Ty just looks at him and goes, "Nope." Scott, this cocky guy, thinking Ty's just going to lay down, give him the idol, and all of a sudden Scott's torch is getting snuffed and he's walking out the door. So, which to me, when we talk about the math, though, I thought back at this. Like, if Scott gets saved in this situation, we go to a revote, and there's a very good chance Ty gets voted out. So to me, I'm always confused why Scott gets so annoyed that Ty won't give him his idol. Like, Ty goes home if Ty gives him his idol.
Like, Ty is tied for the most amount of votes, and they will be revoting Ty out of the game. Like, that's very clear. So, sorry. Like,
and I think this is jumping to the end for a second, but like when Scott or Jason asked him the question of like, what's the real reason you did this? I don't even know if that's actually the real reason. I honestly believe what Ty said is probably what he felt. But I do think if he had actually said, yeah, if it's a revote, I go home, I think they would have appreciated it. And I think that might actually have garnered him some votes there at the end, because that is a logical lie to tell him that spot, because I think he's telling his truth by the time we get to tribal council. But we do get the Debbie blindside, which is one of my favorite blindsides, because you're even watching Joe sitting there like he can't believe it, because Joe's not in on anything unless, Mr. Joe is not in on anything. What Debbie gets blindsided because they can't go after Julie, which she was already against going after Julie anyway, because she's a woman. We need all women at the final three. This is another season, and I already talked about it earlier, where we get another new advantage. It was just introduced 2 seasons ago. We get Ty with an extra vote, and now in this game, Ty has an idol and an extra vote. And we'll kind of get to what happens with that extra vote a little later. Aubrey, in her big moment of the season, I would say, which makes her a game changer. She basically convinces Ty, like, hey, you're evil people, and you should come to the good side and not work with evil people anymore. And because Ty is very easy to sway because he plays with his heart, which is not a bad thing, Ty ultimately, going off what Ben just said, jumps to the good side, doesn't give the idol away to Scott. Scott ducks his way out of tribal council, and now Jason is on the bottom, along with Julia. Like, he keeps saying that they're together, and Julia, once again, it's like she's playing the middle so well that Jason still thinks that they are together. Erica, what do you think of Julia's gameplay because ultimately it doesn't get her anywhere, she doesn't get her to the finale or anything, but I would say for an 18, 19-year-old kid, compared to a lot of 18, 19-year-old kids we've had on the show so far and since, she does very well.
Yeah, I think she's like the best 18-year-old ever to play Survivor. She's really good. Even Scott Pollard really respects her. It's a weird anomaly in Scott Pollard's behavior on this season that he genuinely respects Julia and treats her as an equal, even to the point where when he gets the episode he gets voted out, he has a weird confessional that really stood out to me, where he says something like, I hope Julia will be our guardian angel, but she might not. And he's just not angry. He doesn't get mad about it. He just respects her decision because he just understands it might be better for her game. That says a lot about Julia. I don't know what kind of mist she had out there, but it was impressive. I want to see her play again. She really should come back. She would be an amazing nominee for a returner season. Bring Julia back.
I think that and we talked about, me and Phil talked about this yesterday, if they ever did a second chances ballot again, and we had to do 32 people, we both kind of agreed that they wouldn't do anyone pre-20 at this point. Julia is someone that Julia would probably fall into I won't say the Kelly Wentworth category, because Kelly Wentworth goes home pre-merge, but even a Monica Padilla category, which I know it's a weird comparison, but Monica Padilla still made the cast. So I think that Julia would be one of those people who's oh, why is Julia on the ballot? But I think that if people decide to do what a lot of us have done and gone back and watched the season, they would see, oh man, Julia, at least at the merge, and not even before that, she is the at least on camera, the speaking piece of the Michelle Julia duo. We get more confessionals from Julia during this middle chunk of the merge from that duo, because I feel like, at least from Prod's perspective, they felt like she was the better narrator or what have you. Yeah, I loved Julia here, and me and Morris were talking about this before we went live. It's just so weird that she is also overly bitter towards Sydney during the Ponderosa videos.
Yeah.
Michelle votes out Julia. Very similar to Ciara Easton voting out her mom, where she votes in the majority. But at least in this case, Michelle is sort of the swing vote. It's not set in stone that Julia is going to go out here. Morgs, are you surprised that a younger person like Julia, when we get to Final Tribal, she's going to say, I think that was great. That was a great move. Are you surprised that a younger person is that mature to get voted out by their number one at the point that it happens and still appreciate that?
I think there are layers to it. I think Julia specifically is somebody who is like very clearly a big fan of the game. She's very strategically like sound. She understands the workings of the game. And I think there's also the layer of like, this is my friend. Like I obviously want her to win. So like I'm gonna hype that up as well. So she probably understands it and also wants to hype it up as much as she can for Michelle to win.
And to follow that up, like I'm not Mr. Big Moves or anything like that, but do you think through her 2 seasons playing, do you think this is potentially her best move? Whatever that means.
I'd say it's like in the running. I would say like the winners at war, like the vote where she works with Jeremy pre-merge, that is probably like her best, like I'm actively putting pieces together to make something happen vote. But I think this is something that was like she saw the path to get back into the game and she took it, and like she got her props at the end of the day, and I think she deserved that.
Yeah. Ben, we are now 3 seasons into the next evolution of the game of other advantages that are not the idol or the medallion of power. And so far going into the season, we're 0 for 2 as far as those advantages working. Well, we're going to come out of the season 0 for 3 because Ty uses his extra vote to try to blindside Michelle. And you texted me about it today. I'm like, don't worry, Ben. We're going to talk about it. And I specifically saved this question for you. Thoughts on the non-Michelle vote here?
So for me, and I forget who it was at Tribal Council, and I think it might have been Julia, talks about the kind of the path that people take to play in the game, right? I think for Michelle definitely started off a little slow and gradually got better as the game went on. I think for me, Ty started out really strong, and I think after that Scott vote, it was just a downward trajectory from there. I mean, to me, up until like even the Scott vote where he didn't give him the idol, I think Ty was still in the running to win. But this was an epic flop by Ty. I mean, not only that, he tried to convince his allies, hey, we should vote out Michelle, didn't convince his allies, and still tried to use his extra vote to vote her out anyway. Like, Ty, what are you doing?
Well, Jason said, I'm not going to vote I'm not going to vote with him. Like, I have literally no reason to try. And so Jason just votes for Joe on the way out because I don't give a shit.
Right.
I know I'm going
Even
home.
the person that should be voting that way to try and save themselves isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't trust you. Yeah, I think this is Ben, you brought up that point about Ty's game kind of going like this, and Scott and his embarrassing final tribal moment, he does point that out. Like Ty's game kind of sank as the game progressed, while Michelle's game kind of went like this. And we'll kind of talk about the Aubrey of it all because I don't think I agree with what he says about Aubrey there. But yeah, we do ultimately lose Jason there, and then we get to our third medevac of the season because Joe magically turns into a challenge beast. Mr. Joe, I keep forgetting his name. Mr. Joe turns into a challenge beast and takes Aubrey and Sydney on the where he eats meat for the first time in however long. And basically it's bruised. Like he can't pee, he can't poop, and it's just not going away or not coming out or however you want to phrase it. And this episode today, because I like in my head, I thought that all happens at the beginning of the finale, and it's like, no, this is just one whole episode where nothing really happens. This is the filler mark of the season for me. It's like, why you could have this could have been an email. Erica, just thoughts on Mr. Joe, Mr. Joe's archetype, And do you feel like he had a chance in hell against anybody at
No, Joe, I don't think had a chance to win. He at some point seemed to understand that himself based on his behavior. He seemed to give up physically and spiritually at certain points in the game, like when he just stopped participating in one of the challenges, and Jeff's like, "You done with this one?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm out of gas." And Jeff's like, "All right," and just continues on, like narrating the rest of the challenge. I think that he really snaps at Aubrey and Sydney at one point when they're left out of reward. I think that was another sign he was kind of spiritually giving up. You know, he was losing it on his bestie. No, I don't think Joe really had a chance, but I do like that Joe was included. I do think age diversity is important. You know, I think this watching this one, Joe's medevac was actually a little emotional this time around for me watching. You know, some of my family members are getting a little older. It's something that's on the mind. You know, they think about different things with their health than other, you know, than you have to think about when you're younger. So it's a sad moment for Joe. They fucking do a lot of minutes worth of reward challenge. These reward challenges are long on this season.
They go on forever.
I'm shocked by these minutes are like these episodes are like 43 minutes. The reward challenge will be like 10 minutes of it. Just the challenge, not even them going on the reward. Like, I wish they would have used some of that time to explain maybe some of the shifting social dynamics, people's motivations. Like,
Michelle,
they could have run some shorter challenges.
Morgs, you were going to say something.
Like, I feel can we just talk about the challenge itself? It's so, as soon as they say like you're not allowed to go grab your bags until everybody has gone, and then everybody's out of their bags, and Joe hasn't even like finished his second bag. Like, he has to go all the way back. Maybe that's in the running for like the funniest moment for me, because Jeff is literally like, Joe doesn't even have to run. He's like calmly walking through the woods to get his third bag of beanbags, and then he sinks the last two like a boss. Like, it's everything, and that's the most lively he was the whole merge. Like, he's like ecstatic. He's jumping down the stairs. Like, he's like, yes, I won something. Like, I really miss like that aspect of the game where like some super underdog person could win this challenge out of nowhere. Like, this was just everything to me. I felt that was the best Joe moment by far.
What I forgot to mention in the same episode at the beginning of it, because it's brought up during the tribal, during the Jason boot, and it's brought up at the beginning of the episode. And once again, me and Morgs were talking about this before we went live. And this is a very funny moment to me as well. Ty does not get that Michelle was in the alliance before him. And he keeps bringing up the fact, like, I don't understand where Michelle fits in this. I don't understand what she does here. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. And Michelle's retort every single time is, I was in the alliance before you were. I don't understand how you're not getting this. And so even by the time they get back to camp, and Ty is still saying, yeah, I don't get it. And Michelle, like, I can't convince you anymore. Like, we blindsided Nick. You had nothing to do with it. I've always been here. It's just
sounds like a bunch of malarkey to me.
It sounds like a bunch of malarkey to me. But yeah, we lose Joe in our third medevac of the season because he can't poo or pee, and we have our final four, which we have the first of two Michelle kicks down the blocks moments, which we're going to get again in 8 days, and it's amazing both times. And what I forgot was, and I don't blame her for it, but she tells Sydney, don't worry, we got Ty. You don't have to practice fire. It's all good. It's going to be fine. Ben, are you shocked at the vote ties here?
I'm a little shocked. And even going back before this, I think this Joe medevac plays a lot into this endgame, because to me, I think we all knew that Aubrey and Joe were a pair and they were going to try to make it to the end. And Joe's medevac all of a sudden kind of changes the course of the game. To me, I think it's a great strategy by Michelle because you look at Sydney, and I think we talked about this. Like, as soon as Sydney flipped on Scott and Jason, to me, if she wins this fire making challenge, I think she stands a very good chance at Final Tribal Council. So to me, I think this was a great gameplay. And honestly, going into this fire challenge, I remember watching this. I thought she had it in the bag. And sure enough, Aubrey pulls one out. And all of a sudden, I think we're all going into the Final Tribal Council thinking this is anybody's game right now.
Yeah. One of my big qualms with the fandom, and I have a lot of them, are, they started mandatory fire making in 35 because of what happened in Kaoh Rong. And it's like, you mean when Aubrey wins fire making? Because that's what, like, she doesn't get voted out fourth. She gets to the end. Like, this is not she wins fire making. She wins something that, like, and one of the jurors even says it, like, oh, and then you won your way here. We're going to talk a little bit more about what the fandom thinks about this Final Tribal in a second. But this is the last of our non-mandatory Final Four fire makings. And I think that it goes, I won't say it's a wet fart, but like when you find out that Sydney's never started a fire during the season, it's like, oh man, like, yeah, she was definitely probably screwed there. But then we get this interesting thing of both Ty and Michelle, but specifically Michelle saying, like, Aubrey's gonna win. Aubrey's gonna win. Aubrey's gonna win. And I think this is where where the fandom lost their mind over Aubrey not winning was, oh well, even Michelle saying that, Aubrey's going to win. So like clearly she thought she deserved it. We'll kind of get to that a little later, but just like Erica, I know you said you don't remember the first time, but just any other time you've watched this season, yes, you know what ultimately happens, but like going in just based off of the edit, are you at all thinking that there's any way that Ty or Aubrey could win it?
I actually do remember the first time I watched it. I was just it was a great finale for me because I liked everyone in the final four. Like for me, whoever wins is great. It's going to be great. And I also remember having no fucking idea, like, and I'm very bad at predicting these things. Like, I think I remember going into this thing, hey, maybe if Ty pulls out a really great final tribal, even he could win it. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. But I remember thinking that. So no, I had no idea how this was going to go. This time around, I was aware of, the fandom freak out about Aubrey losing. So I was trying to keep an eye out for why that was. And I never found it this time around. Like, I was expecting to be impressed by her. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I just wasn't like that over the top impressed to where I could be like, oh yeah, I understand it. I understand what people were like, oh, Aubrey's robbed. No, I don't really like, she was fine. I liked her, but wouldn't say robbed.
Yeah. I like Monica Culpepper. I like Dawn. I like Lisa Welchel. Like, these are all people that like lose. That's like, okay, I get it, but also like I would have been cool with any of them winning. I like Stephen Fishback. These are all people that I think that I would have been happy with them winning. And when they ultimately do lose, it's like, okay, that sucks, but cool, we got what we got. And we're going to talk about the backlash that this season kind of gets afterwards. Morgs, for you, I know Michelle was your winner pick and everything, and you are the resident Aubrey hater here. So I won't put you there, but like, I guess the other question would kind of go, is there any way for you that Michelle could lose here the first time you watched?
I think the first time I watched, I'm like one of those super fans that like, I'm looking at Edgic, I'm looking at all these little things to try and like decipher who's gonna win. So going into this finale, I was like, okay, well, like all we've heard from all of the people so far is like, especially from even Aubrey, Michelle's gonna win. Michelle's gonna win. Michelle's gonna win. She has no enemies. Blah 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 blah. So when Michelle wins final immunity, I'm like, so. And then it seems like obviously Aubrey has had more content, but Michelle has been propped up as this like the person that needs to go for X, Y, and Z to have a chance at winning. Now going into Final Tribal, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna not win with my winner pick. Like this is gonna be horrible. I was convinced I'm getting duped. Aubrey's about to win this thing. And I was a little disappointed because obviously I was rooting for Michelle the whole time. Um, Going back and watching this again, just as Erica said, like I was looking at Aubrey's game with like the magnifying glass because all you hear, obviously, after is Aubrey is the most robbed person that's ever played this game. She deserved this. Michelle is the worst winner that's ever played. I'm looking at Aubrey's game and I'm like, Aubrey's not really getting her way like ever. Like she's constantly being like she's putting out a name and it's getting shot down by the players like Sydney who are actually controlling the game. Like she wants this person to go, Sydney says no, this person's going. Even early on, she wants this person to go, they say no, this person's going. Like it happens so many times throughout the season. So like is the game all the way there? Like just because you're in a majority position, that's not the end all be all at the end of the day to me.
Yeah. Next around the horn question, and we'll go to Ben starting off with this. We get our last twist of the season. A twist that they've never brought back, and for good reason, at least from my perspective. And a twist that before we went live, me and Morgs kind of did because during the reunion, Jeff says they wanted to do this 7 years ago, which means it would have either been in Gabon or Tocantins, which is crazy.
Yeah.
One, what do you think about this twist? And two, would you be a fan of them bringing it back in the open era? And we're going to start with you, go to Erica, go to Morgs.
So for me, I'm always a fan of twists that are perfectly executed. And I think the biggest flaw with this season is that we had the super idol. It wasn't properly executed. We had the extra vote. Wasn't properly executed. I think in this instance, Michelle Fitzgerald absolutely nailed it with this twist. Because for me, like, yeah, I think everybody thought going in that when she won this, oh, okay, well, let's take off Joe because we all know Joe is an easy vote for Aubrey. Neil, I think the difference between Neil and Joe in this case is I think Neil is a lot more persuasive than Joe. So for me, this was a fantastic play by Michelle, and I think that it cemented her win in this instance because if you figure, say a person like Aubrey wins this, Aubrey's probably taken Scott off because we know Scott was pissed at her the entire game. All of a sudden, you have Neil, who's a vote for Aubrey. We're talking 4-3. Debbie, I think, is the swing vote in this case, and I think that Debbie is convinced enough from Scott to vote for Michelle. I think at this instance, we see the opposite, and I think she may vote for Aubrey, and it's a 4-3 win for Aubrey.
Did you call upon me? I can't hear you. Sorry. You're.
I'm muted. I muted myself because I passed gas.
Oh,
Erica.
Joe.
I agree. Sorry. I agree. Perfectly executed by Michelle. However, I hate this twist and I don't want to see it come back. I was very shocked and dazzled the very first time I saw it. It's one of the most memorable moments of the season from my first rewatch. I remember like getting on the subreddit and asking if they ever do this again because I was so shocked. It was early on in my Survivor viewing when I saw this season. But no, I hope they never bring it back. I feel like it just really like ruins the spirit of Survivor to make the jury and then not get to vote, not even get to be at the final tribal council. So I hope they don't bring it back in the open era, personally. I don't even like Neil that much. So this is not even in defense of him. Like, I just don't like the twist. Like, anyway.
You don't like the suckling of the teat and all that.
I mean, he did go. I mean, I appreciate the poetry on the way out, but he proved her point. Like,
I think that was my biggest takeaway is like obviously it props Michelle up to do something that was so correct. But if you are an Aubrey supporter, you're trying to get your last quip in, but you're also dogging Michelle in a way that makes her look even smarter in front of the entire jury by saying, yeah, I was gonna rag on you at Final Tribal Council. Like, you made the best move possible. The twist itself, I'm very against it. Obviously, I think it's, and I don't like Neil at all, obviously, as the number one Michelle stan. Like, no way. Like, that pissed me off. And I can quote his whole thing. But he didn't deserve to be not on the jury. Like, if even if he like got medically evacuated, he didn't even get voted out. Like, and then you don't even get to vote at the end. It's like, well, why am I even here? Like,
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, if they do this in almost any season, unless a finalist, whoever gets the advantage, knows that for sure this person is like firmly against them, I think the easiest thing to do is first juror. Just do the first juror. Just do the, especially if you never got a chance to meet them. Like in Michelle's case, like there was not much interaction there. Not much interaction. There was still some, but somebody get rid of him and just take your chances. And also, you know that between him and Joe, this person's going to be more vehement about wanting Aubrey to win, which gets us to our final three of Michelle, Ty, and Aubrey, which at the beginning of this, I think someone said, one of the greatest final threes ever. I don't agree, but like whatever. Like as far as like they all return, so that's cool. What I do enjoy all three of them, specifically Ty and Michelle here. Aubrey at one point during the Sydney thing kind of bounces back on a question that it didn't feel like was like an attack against her. Ben, we'll kind of go back to you. What did you think about the finalists here and how they performed? If you want to point out specifics or anything, that's fine. But like, we'll go around the horn again. We'll go Ben, Morgs, Erica this time of how you think the final three performed.
For me, I actually read a bunch of subreddits. And for me, I've talked about Ty's game. I thought he started really, really well, and he was in a downward trajectory. And I had seen some things like, well, he wasn't able to articulate his game very well. But I think we all know what Ty's game was, which was, I think he was very messy, especially the second half of the game. Aubrey, and I think I texted this earlier. I think when Nick gets up there, what he wants to see from Aubrey is confidence. And for me, when Sydney is asking her question and kind of saying all these things she did, she gave an answer, and I think this was kind of signed, sealed, delivered for Michelle to win, where she basically said, like, yeah, Sydney, you did all these things. I had to take you out because you did all these things. And she didn't really come out and say, well, I assisted you with these things as well. So to me, that was Aubrey's like biggest downfall during the final tribal council. And for me, like, I think Michelle articulated herself very well. And I think she gave this like vibe that she was this silent assassin, like, kind of like how Gabler, I know he wasn't a very likable winner, but how it was like, hey, I was here the entire time. Like, you guys had a chance to get me out and you didn't. There were other big threats in the game. I surrounded myself with a person like Sydney. So to me, I think Michelle, like, it really put a spotlight on how great her social game was. And I think for viewers watching, like, if you go watch her in Winners of War, I think that this like really vindicates like how great this win was. Like, Michelle was a great social player in both of her seasons.
Yeah, Morgs.
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna toot the Michelle horn a little bit more. Like, that's my girl, literally my favorite Survivor player of all time. Like, I stand up and down. I think this final tribal was really a masterclass. Like, it was very much showing that social awareness and also an understanding of the game. Like, perception is not always reality, and you have to play on people's perception. And she also tied in the season's theme, saying, you know, brawn, you have the built-in physical aspect that people look at you for. Brain, people are looking at you as smart. Beauty, you kind of have to prove that you are those other things, which was a really good thing to say at the final tribal. And with Aubrey, while it came off super confident, obviously she had been told to say that, she's also saying things to people like Debbie that, like, I regret your vote out. That is my biggest regret in this game, and I shouldn't have done that. Probably not what Debbie wants to hear when Debbie doesn't want to be voted out in that spot. And you're saying you didn't want to do that, actually. Like, womp. And then obviously, Ty is like really struggling, and I think he's super nervous, and he knows that he's being come at super hard, and he's not that type of person that deals with confrontation that well, so he's like floundering on himself. And Mark the chicken is there and is like flustered the entire time. But yeah, like, I think Michelle handled it extremely well and proved exactly why she deserved to win.
And Erica.
Yeah, the final tribal council is so interesting because it feels like I would love to watch the whole season, but just the tribal councils leading up to the final tribal council, because it feels like Michelle played this final tribal council the way she's been playing the last few, which is like so articulate and a little bit aggressive, which is not really how she plays around camp when she's having conversations with people. That's not what the jury sees. What the jury sees is she comes to tribal council with the immunity necklace when she needs it. What she sees is she claps back at Ty when Ty isn't making any fucking sense. Like, she's been doing final tribal council for a couple rounds now. And Ty's been blowing final tribal council for a couple rounds now. And Aubrey's been right in the middle, not saying too much at tribal council. So it's just a perfect continuation of how tribal councils have been going. It's very like narratively satisfying that way.
So I love, because we haven't seen this in a few seasons where Jeff gives them final words after the jury goes, and so he says, hey, like, you guys have a chance to kind of say what you need to say. And I do think that all their final words are very good. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, Michelle gets everyone's vote except for Nick and Mr. Joe. Mr. Joe was always going to vote for Aubrey, so like, she only... Where my issue has always come from, and it's the same, like, specifically this time watching through the seasons like I do, I try to pinpoint why certain jurors vote the ways that they do, and like, with the exceptions of like Leaf voting for Sabrina, or like, I don't know, there was one during Worlds Apart that kind of threw me off, but for the most part, you kind of understand. And they even think that Nick was probably just bitter that a beauty voted against him out of the game, like, whatever the fuck. When people say that this jury specifically was so overly bitter that they didn't vote Aubrey to win, it confuses me, because yes, I know we're watching an edited episode, but let's just say that at least the majority of what we're seeing is what happened there. It doesn't seem like anyone is overly pissed off at Aubrey. I know Scott or Jason say that Aubrey's game kind of tanked towards the end. Fine, that's their opinion. If you go watch the Ponderosa videos, it's Scott and Jason, and then like, they hate Sydney. So I don't think that they're convincing Sydney to vote for Michelle over Aubrey. If anything, they're being so overly negative that Michelle, or that Sydney might vote for Aubrey to spite Scott and Jason. Morgs, we'll go back to you with this. Just, I know Michelle's your girl, and I get that. For you, do you see anything that what we've seen here, what we've seen in the Ponderosas, and what we've seen after the game, or what have you, where it's like, okay, there is enough of the jury as they are proper, with Neil still being gone, where like, yeah, Aubrey could have won if this person hadn't done this or whatever?
I think that Aubrey had a fair shot at the end of the day, but I do think Michelle has the leg up, obviously, socially. Aubrey is probably linked into that contingent with Sydney closely, so they're probably a little not willing to vote for her, but they're not completely ragging on her at this final tribal council. Like, they're still giving her props for the strong game that she played. Multiple people are. Even Jason is giving her props at one point. So it's like, it's hard to sit there and say like, oh, it's just a completely bitter jury when no, like it's just two different games, and which one is going to win out at the end of the day is up to the jury. Like it's not based on a personal feeling against Aubrey, because I think people had a lot of respect for Aubrey in the game.
Yeah, this is. I'll say it a little bit later. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, to me, I think we all have touched on this. I think Aubrey did have a fair chance, but I think at the time when I watched this, I definitely felt this way. Definitely being somebody who's pro Aubrey, but I think the more you watch Michelle, and especially in Winners at War, I think you can really appreciate how good her social game actually is. And I think that she definitely touched on that. That was, the whole reason why she made it to final tribal council. And I don't think you can say enough about how good it really was.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they view social game, they think of it as just like your interactions with other people. The way I view social game is being able to read that room.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to read that room is such a huge skill in Survivor, and Michelle is one of those people that's just really good at that. She can see this person and this person are probably not going to link together. If I'm with this person, that person's not going to want to work with me. So I need to do this to get to this. Like it's very strategic as well at the end of the day. So I think that layer is often miscommunicated about social game.
One of her first confessionals is her talking about how she's a bartender, and like that's how she does her job.
That's
Yeah.
why I chose her as my winner pick. People that work in the service industry, y'all know, like there is that level that some people just don't have when you're working in a social interaction place where if I need to make money, I'm going to have to act a certain way and like move a certain way to get that money. So that's immediately why I picked her as my winner pick preseason.
All right, and then Erica.
Yeah, Michelle. Another aspect of Michelle's social game is just her charisma, her straight riz at tribal council. Like she really has a way of projecting confidence. I felt like when she was talking, I want to buy what she's selling, and that had been going on for a few tribal councils, and you could see the way the jury reacts to her. Like it's so easy to believe in her. She makes you want to believe in her. She projects confidence in a way that Ty definitely does not at this final tribal council. And Aubrey, she's confident, but not as Michelle just has that X factor. So I if anyone received bitterness at this final tribal, it was Ty. So not Aubrey necessarily.
Definitely agree.
I agree, and this is one of those seasons where I always ask people to go back and just watch, and just tell me when you're not sitting in the echo chamber of Survivor Reddit, which is what I avoid. If you're not sitting in the echo chamber of Survivor Reddit, or all of these people and you sit there and tell me that like it's such a certainty that Aubrey is winning, even based off of the edit, like because this is why I love watching the show like I do. Where it's just like you just kind of pick up on things like that, and it's like at no point today that I obviously knowing who wins, but it's like no, it seems like Aubrey's doing very well, very similar to Monica, Dawn, and Lisa. I felt like they all did very well, and also were very emotional in their season, and ultimately all ended up getting second place. And I don't think that I think it's shitty that some of those people were treated poorly at Final Tribal. I don't think that Aubrey got that this time. And I think this is why I was so anti-Aubrey for so long. It's because her fans made me not like her. It had nothing to do with her for the most part. It had nothing to do with her. It had more to do with these fans are like, and I love Michelle's thing in Winners at War where she's talking to Boston Rob, one of my favorite Boston Rob moments. And Boston Rob's like, fuck these people. Like, you won. So what do these people have to do with anything? And the fact that Jeff is one of these people that is, saying, oh, she's a shit winner. I think Nick came out later and said, oh, yeah, we should embrace the fact that we have a shit winner. It's like, once again, if we're talking about bitter people, you're probably the most bitter person here because you hate the fact that this woman voted you out and you thought she was some dumb bartender because you're the hottest person in the cast, which we all agree he's not. Final thoughts on Survivor Kaoh Rong. Erica, we'll start with you.
Final thoughts on the season. Loved the season, loved rewatching it. I think they spent way too much time on the reward challenges. They should have done shorter reward challenges so they could maybe explain what Michelle was up to a little bit more in the pre-merge. Like maybe we could have had some Michelle screen time in the pre-merge. What are my other thoughts? The cinematography was beautiful. It always is. I think that's all I got.
Ben?
I would say for this cast in general, I think it speaks volumes that out of all the castaways we had, we saw 5 of them return. In other seasons, we saw Caleb, Debbie, Ty, and Aubrey return for Game Changers. We saw Michelle at Winners of War. We also saw Aubrey in Edge of Extinction and Survivor 50. And I just think that speaks volumes. Also, very smart idea from production to move all the seasons after this to Fiji because holy crap, this season was brutal for the castaways.
Morgs?
I have always said this is my favorite season. I probably rewatched the season over 20 times. I just really enjoy this season in particular because it feels like every episode something crazy is going to happen. Like the theme of the season is crazy. And I love that. And also, like, just you brought up like thematically and how like cinematography works. The season feels hot. Like, can we just talk about that? Everything feels orange and like on fire all the time. Like, they really got that down too. And I always recommend this to people. This season is my favorite season.
I will say that Kaoh Rong is, like, if I had to make a list of like 5 seasons that I would show somebody, Kaoh Rong is one of them. I would show them this before I'd show them Cagayan because I feel like Cagayan is like its own little thing. I don't put heroes versus villains on that list either because that's its own little thing. You could show someone Kaoh Rong and be like, okay, this is what Survivor is in the modern day. Advantages, big moves, gameplay, and also I'm going to show you a season where they try to kill their players. So if you like this, then you should watch old school Survivor. If you don't like this, then only focus on seasons 21 through beyond. For me, I'm putting of 32 seasons, I have this at 13, right in front of Amazon and right behind San Juan del Sur. I think that
San Juan del Sur, like, you need to be above. Like,
I'm sorry,
not even the top 10 for both of them.
For me, like it's a very good season. It'll probably end up in my top 20 by the time I'm done with all of this, but it's a very good season. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of shitbags, so like Scott and Jason, I've just never really vibed with them. I understand the show sometimes needs them, but like whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of advantages, and this is once again we're like rearing up for game changers at this point. We're rearing up for Suri to get voted out by default. And I hate that trajectory that we're kind of on here. And yes, watching people die in real time is not fun. At least for me, it's not fun. That's why I've never gone on 4chan in 35 years of life. And why I avoid all types of websites that might even have a speck of that. Last 2 questions. And last 2 they're going to be around the horn. We'll go Morgs first. Morgs, who would your ally be this season?
I think I would get along really well with Julia. I think we have similar mindsets and we approach the game probably really similarly. I think her strategy aspect was like very interesting and seeing little things that she would do to be a little manipulative. Like that vibes well with me. And then what was the other part? I don't remember.
No, that was it. That was who's your
okay. Yeah.
Ben, who would your number 1 ally be this season?
I think I would tend to agree. Just repping the Green Mountain State. Absolutely, Julia. I think if I had to pick another one, Aubrey, just because I like the way she approached the game. from a strategical standpoint as well.
Erica?
As much as I love Debbie and as much as I love Ty, I feel like they are kind of emotionally high strung and I feed off of energy and that would trip me up. That would trip me up. So I really would, I think, gravitate toward the Julia, Michelle, Anna alliance. They had a very laid back way of communicating with each other that I think would really put me at ease and allow me to think without I couldn't honestly. I imagine trying to work with Debbie. I would be a little frazzled. Same with maybe anyone on the Brain Tribe. Really, I like the easy breezy, beautiful vibe of the Beauty Alliance.
Yeah, I would say for me, it'd probably be Sydney or Michelle. Just specifically Michelle because she's a social player. I'm a social player. Okay, cool, we can do it. With Sydney, it's just okay, we've got the one thing going for us. But also it's more of a, hey, yeah, I don't like what these guys are doing either. We should do something about this. I can be your Joe. I would love to be her Joe this season. And then final question, Erica, will continue with you. Something that the modern fandom would not like about Survivor Kaoh Rong.
I mean, we saw some of the way the fandom reacted to Survivor 46, the Kenzie win. Not everyone was a huge fan because of the lack of explanation of her social game. So I feel like we have evidence that if this happened again, there would be people confused about the lack of explaining Michelle's social game, the lack of her edit and the pre-merge. These are things we didn't tolerate then and we don't tolerate now. The bullying that Scott and Jason do, we would hate that. That's all I got.
Ben?
I think if you're looking for a complete season, I think the one flaw that I always say about this is just that pre-merge game, and I think it's because, like I mentioned before, that Braun tribe was such a train wreck that if you want to tune in and watch this season, just give it time. That's what I would say. Give it time. Because I think that when we talk about Michelle's trajectory of how good her game was, I think this season gets better as the seasons go on. So, we're a little slow to start off, but mid-season and towards the end, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
And Morris?
I actually don't agree with that at all. I think the season starts off super in your face with all the things happening, but I agree with Erica in the sense that people in this day and age are always looking for that big move-itis in their winners, and the Michelle win, it was controversial at the time, let alone in today's day and age. So I think that is definitely something that modern fandom is probably not going to vibe with as much, especially somebody who is under edited.
Yeah, I would say probably the same thing as far as they would probably, as much as they stand Michelle now, thank goodness, they have shown that they don't like when this happens because once again, they started a GoFundMe for Xander in season 41. They started a GoFundMe for Xander in season 41. They're still upset about Jonathan, or some of them are still upset about Jonathan losing in 50. I think outside of that, I do feel like the fans would kind of a lot of, and I think because I started to notice it last couple of days, a lot of the Jeffisms really start to come into play this season, specifically when they're doing the I don't remember what challenge it was, but he says you've got to dig, and it's it's made into a moment. They cut to him as he's saying it. It's oh, this is the catch. This is this is the what you're talking about, Willis. This is the Marsha. This is the Bazinga. We have to make sure that we show Jeff saying it because this is his catchphrase now. And I noticed that this season of anytime he says any of his phrases, it's made into a moment. And the show's not about him. The show is about Darnell. It's just about everyone else. Thank you all so much. We didn't hit 2 hours, but We also didn't hit 3 hours like we did Worlds Apart. Thank you all for taking the time to do this. I hope that all of you will join me for day 50 on June 28th for the live stream at some point if you want to hop in and just say hey for an hour or two. Erica, once again, thank you. I appreciate it. Erica sent me a care package, and it's been great. I've got most of the stuff left. Ben, I think I know that. So Ben is a Survivor friend that I have made recently because now we play on the same rugby team together. But Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And Morgs, once again, I know that the last time I had somebody on that I met in a game, they thought I was using it as a ploy. It's like, no, I just like the fact this person knows Survivor, and I would like to. So I appreciate the fact that we made this deal all the way back then, and you still hopped on for this. I've been really looking forward to this panel. We've got Survivor Millennials versus Gen X tomorrow, which I guess I'm excited for. I get to see Michaela Bradshaw, so that's fun. And then my all-time crush, Hannah Shapiro, will be there, so that'll be fun. Thank you to everyone in the chat, everyone that's been supporting the videos. The 40 is going to be rough since they increased how long the episodes get. Yes, I know. I am already trying to mentally prepare myself for that. It's not going to be great. But thank you to everyone that's continued to support. And we will see you all tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll see tomorrow night for Survivor Millennials versus Gen X.